The pregnancy by an admixture conceived. How long will the pregnancy last? To each other, they wondered. Will it be 9 months of Nibiru, or will it be 9 months of Earth? Ninhursag was giving birth to a boy child. On the 10th month, Ninhursag conceived. Enki held the boy child in his hands, the image of perfection he was. He slapped the newborn on his hind parts. The newborn uttered proper sounds. He handed the newborn to Ninhursag. She held him up in her hands. "My hands have made it." Victoriously she shouted. Now this is the account of how Adamu, known as Adam by name, was called, and how Tiamat, also known as Eve as a counterpart female for him, was fashioned. The newborn's visage and limbs the leaders carefully examined. Of good shape were his ears, his eyes were not clogged, his limbs were proper, hind parts like legs, fore parts like hands were shaped. Shaggy like the wild ones he was not. Dark black his head hair was, smooth was his skin, smooth as the Anunnaki skin it was, like dark red blood was its color, like the clay of the Abzu was its hue. They looked at his malehood, odd was its shape, their skins was rounded, unlike that of Anunnaki it was, a skin from its forepart was hanging. Let the earthling from us Anunnaki by this foreskin be distinguished, so was Enki saying. The newborn to cry was beginning. To her chest, Ninhursag closely drew him. Her breast to him she gave, the breast he began to suckle. Perfection we did attain. Ninhursag, the son of Enki with elation was saying. Enki at his sister was gazing. A mother and son, not Ninhursag and a being he was seeing. A name will you give him? Enki inquired. A being he is, not a creature. Ninhursag cast her hand upon the newborn's body. With her fingers, his dark red skin she caressed. Adamu I shall call him, Ninhursag was saying. One who like earth's clay is, that will be his name. For the newborn Adamu a crib they fashioned, in a corner of the house of life they placed him. A model for primitive workers we have indeed attained, Enki said. Now a host of workers like him Adida reminded his elders. A model indeed he shall be. As for himself, like a firstling he shall be treated. From toil he himself shall be protected by myself, and all the Anunnaki he is the first and most precious. His essence alone as a mold shall be. So was Enki saying. By his decree, Ninhursag was greatly pleased. What Anunnaki wombs the new fertilized eggs shall carry? Ninhursag asked. The leaders then pondered. Ninhursag then offered a solution. From her city Shurubak, Ninhursag had her female healers and medical examiners summoned. The task required to them she explained. To the crib of Adamu she led them, the newborn earthling to perceive. To perform the task is not a commandment, Ninhursag said. Your own wish is the decision. The female Anunnaki assembled. 7 of them stepped forward. 7 of them the task was accepted. Let their names for all time be remembered, Ninhursag to Enki was saying. Their task is heroic. By them a race of primitive workers shall come into being. The 7 Anunnaki female soon-to-be mothers to the new race of earthlings stepped forward. Each one her name was announced. The names Ninhursag promptly recorded. Ninima, Shusiana, Ninmada, Ninbara, Ninmug, Musardu and Ninguna. These were the names of the 7 who by their own wish-birth mothers were to be. Earthlings in their wombs to conceive and bear, primitive workers to create. In 7 test tubes of the clay of the earth were made. Ninhursag ovals of the Homo erectus female were placed. The DNA of Adamu she extracted. Bit by bit in the test tube she inserted. Then in the male part of Adamu an incision she made. A drop of blood to let out. Let this a sign of life be. That flesh and soul have combined, let it forever proclaim. She squeezed the male part for blood. 1 drop of blood in each vessel to the admixture she added. In this clay's admixture, earthling with the Anunnaki shall be bound. Thus was Ninhursag saying, an incantation she was pronouncing. To a unity shall the 2 essences, one of heaven, one of earth, together be brought. That which is of earth and that which is from Nibiru by a blood kinship shall be bonded, Ninhursag announced. Her words Ninhursag, known as Thoth, also recorded. In the wombs of the Anunnaki birth-giving heroines, the fertilized eggs were inserted. Their conception, with anticipation, was the allotted time counted. At the allotted time, birth-givings were occurring. At the allotted time, 7 male earthlings were born. Their features were proper, good sounds they were uttering. By the heroines they were suckled. 7 primitive workers have been created, Ninhursag was saying. Let the procedure be repeated. 7 more the toil to undertake. My son, to him, NiNki responded. Not even 7 by 7 will be sufficient. Of heroine healers too much is required. Forever their task this way shall be, said Ninhursag. Indeed, the task is too demanding. Beyond enduring it would be for them. Ninhursag to them said, female workers we have to fashion then. NiNki said, for males counterparts they shall be. Let them know each other. As one flesh the two to become, let them by themselves procreate. They will be fruitful and multiply. To the primitive worker, females by themselves give birth. Anunnaki females will be relieved. The genetic formulas you must change from male to female adjustment must be made. So did NiNki say to Ninhursag. For a counterpart to Adamu to be fashioned, in the womb of an Anunnaki female conception is needed once again. So did Ninhursag to his father NiNki in responding say. NiNki at Ninhursag his gaze directed. Before she could speak, he raised his hand. Let me this time NiNki my spouse summon. With strong voice he said, if she is willing, let her the mold for the female earthling create. Then to the Abzu, to the house of life, NiNki, one of the spouses of NiNki, was summoned. They showed her Adamu, all that matters to her they explained. Of the task that is required they gave explanations. Of success and dangers were told. By the task, NiNki was fascinated. Let it be done, she to them said. By the genetic formulas Ninhursag had adjusted, and the admixture of the fertilized oval was inserted into the womb of his spouse. With much care he did it. There was conception. In the allotted time NiNki was in travail. A birth there was not. NiNki the months counted, Ninhursag the months counted. The 10th month, a month of evil fates, they began to call. Ninhursag, the lady whose hand wombs has opened, with a cutter and incision made. Her head was covered, on her hands protections she wore. With dexterity the opening she made, her face at once was brightened. That which in the womb was from the womb came forth. A female birth was given. To NiNki with joy she shouted. The newborn's visage and limbs they carefully examined. Of good shape were her ears, her eyes were not clogged, her limbs were proper. Hind parts like legs, fore parts like were shaped. Shaggy she was not. Like beach sands was the hue of her head hair, her skin smooth was, as that of the Anunnaki in smoothness and color it was. Ninhursag the girl child held in her hands. She slapped her hind parts, proper sounds the newborn uttered. To NiNki, the spouse of NiNki, she the newborn handed, to be suckled, nourished, and raised. A name will you give her? NiNki of his spouse inquired. A being she is, not a creature. In your image she is, and after your likeness perfectly she is fashioned, a model for female workers you have attained. NiNki cast her hand upon the newborn's body. With her fingers, her skin she caressed. Tiamat let her name be, the mother of life, NiNki was saying. Like the planet and queen of old, of which the earth and the moon kingi were fashioned, let her be called. From her womb's life essences, other birth givers shall be molded. To a multitude of primitive workers, she thereby life will be giving. Thus was NiNki saying, the other's words of concurring uttered. Now this is the account of the 2 first earthlings, Adamu known as Adam and Tiamat, known as Eve in the Eden. After Tiamat in the womb of NiNki was fashioned, 7 vessels of the clay of the Abzu Ninhursag placed the eggs of the 2-legged ape woman. The life essence of Tiamat, also known as Eve, she extracted, bit by bit, in the test tubes she it inserted. In the test tubes of the earth of the Abzu, Ninhursag made the admixture. Incantations as the procedure befits she was uttering. In the wombs of the birth-giving heroines, the fertilized ovals were inserted. There was conception, and at the allotted time, birth-giving occurred. At the allotted time, 7 female earthlings were born. Their features were proper, good sounds they were uttering. Thus were 7 primitive workers created, 7 male and 7 females after the original Adam and Tiamat, also known as Eve. After the earthlings were thus created, let the males and the females inseminate. Let the primitive workers by themselves offspring beget. So was Enki to the others, saying, "After the allotted time, offsprings had offspring will have offsprings. Plentiful will be the primitive workers' numbers, and the toil of the Anunnaki they shall hear." Enki, NiNki, also known as Damkina, Ninhursag and Ningishzida were joyful. The fruit's elixir they were drinking, the Anunnaki created cages in the Eden among the tall trees they placed them. Let them together grow up, malehoods and femalehoods they will have. Let the males the females inseminate, let them by themselves offspring beget. So were they to each other, saying, "As for Adamu and Eve, from the toil of the excavations they shall be protected, reside in the best part of the Eden to showcase the other Anunnaki there in our handiwork on display." So was Enki to the others, saying. With that the others did concur. To Eridu, in the Eden, the city of Enlil, Adam and Eve were taken. An abode in an enclosure for them was built, to roam therein they could. The Anunnaki of the Eden came to see them, from the landing place they came. Enlil came to see them. By the sight his displeasure was diminished. Ninurta came to see them. Ninlil did as well. From the way station on Mars, Marduk the son of Enki also came down to see. It was a sight most astounding, a wonder of wonders it was to behold. "Your hands have made it," the Anunnaki to the fashioners were saying. The Igigi who between Earth and Mars shuttled were also all agog. Primitive workers have been fashioned, our days of toil to finally end. So were they, all saying. In the hard toils of Abzu,